Doubles and coffee. Faris. You tell your PNM supporters, the 33 of them up in a meeting in the community center in Malabar. Oh gosh, I ain't get no pre-action protocol letter. The police ain't knock on my door yet. And the Douglas tell you, cool yourself, it coming. Well, I now hold Faris's pre-action protocol letter from CEO of the CPEP company, Keith Eddy, in which he is claiming that Faris has defamed his name, his reputation, and his character. Now, Faris Al-Rawi, before I get into the pre-action protocol, since you gone quiet, and you saying I gone quiet, well, boy, the whole country laugh at you. Doubles and coffee, maybe you block it so it don't hurt your feelings. You know, you're not so emotionally strong, especially wearing that tight pants. Sometimes when your pants too tight, tears just come out your eyes. Eh, Faris? Yes. So, Faris, first and foremost, the letter from Freedom Law Chambers, Anil Ram Logan. You can't take that name, eh, boy? That name just hit you down in your heart, in your little bit of brain cells that you have, not many. But that man, like, he's your nemesis, boy. The man just so bright. He just so good. He's so skillful. He like Maradona and Messi in one compared to you, Mr. Philbert Jones, who throw away goals. Yeah, Faris? Anyway, Faris, the moving goalpost. First of all, in this CPEP matter, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, the PNM response, Faris and Chairman Joel Edwards was, no cabinet approval was needed. Therefore, we could do what the hell we want. We could approve and extend contracts to the tune of $1.4 billion and nobody could do Faris anything. That was their original position. Then, Carl Mimber, the little dwen that he is, the little sneaky imbecile, went and researched a bit and came up with this concept. Hey, 2017, we had a cabinet note back then, and therefore that cabinet note allowed CPEP to renew contracts and so on. But you see, the dwen, who I know very well, because when I'm debating whether in the lower house or upper house, the only debater on the PNM side that I listen to very carefully, because he's actually quite intelligent, but the little dwen uses his intelligence to abuse others, to lie, to obfuscate, to twist. So you have to listen very carefully, because he will be quoting from a law and change one word and change the entire meaning of the law. The law might have shall, and he will read onto the Hansard may. And if you're not paying attention, you get caught by Colm. So I listened to Colm. So Colm came out in that same meeting and said, hey, there's a cabinet minute. Cabinet agreed back in 2017, so everything is okay. That covers everything. The problem with Colm is that when you read the cabinet minute and the cabinet decision, it had nothing to do with that. And I will read that shortly to show you that Colm was playing the fool. But Faris the Dunce just jumped on the Colm bandwagon. And then Joel Edwards, the chairman of PNM CPEP, who's away now. And I should suggest to him that he change his attorneys, because it appears to me that his attorneys are serving more than one master. And boy, Edwards, you better get your own attorneys who are looking after your interests. Your own attorneys who don't care about PNM, don't care about getting brief from PNM, don't care about removing the UNC, and only care about keeping you out of jail. You better take the Douglas stupid advice, you know, Joel Edwards. Get attorneys who care about you. Anyway, Joel Edwards, you started to mimic the same stupidity out of the mouth of Faris Al-Rawi, which came out of the little brain of the Dwayne Coleman, and said, well, yes, the 2017 minute that gave us the approval to be able, CPEP could renew contracts and do what they want since 2017. Then Joel Edwards, why did you tell the corporate secretary, Gopal Singh, to write on the cabinet, on the board note specifically that cabinet had agreed to the en masse extension of contractors, even those who had 18 months and so on still left on their contract? Why the board note said specifically that rather than, hey, 2017, there's a cabinet agreement and decision that allows us to do what we want? Why you didn't say that? You see, Mr. Edwards, because you're lying. You understand? Now, when you go in court, lying is a serious thing, so you make a decision wisely, yeah? So, furthermore, they now come now, Faris and Joel Edwards, they say no cabinet approval. Then Joel Edwards say, boy, because that was on the board note, there was an error an error, but somehow there's no attempt to correct the error. There's no message on the former PNM CPEP group chat saying from Mr. Joel Edwards, chairman, hey, all you, hold up. That board note have an error. It didn't need cabinet approval. So here's the new board note for all you to round robin and approve while everybody in election mode. And the last man approved on April 28th at 9:18 a.m. while people voting, to vote out the PNM. Them approving expenditure of $1.4 billion to 2029. That is PNM. And these men have no shame. So, the statement was approved and by Joel Edwards. Categorically states that board note that cabinet has approved. So Joel Edwards, you have to approve that. And you talk about the error. There's no evidence. Your affidavit doesn't have any evidence. No group chat, no screenshot, no nothing, but no error. Then you switch now to 2017 cabinet note. Well, let me go to the 2017 cabinet note and cabinet minute, which was the decision. Since then, this is from the Freedom Law Chambers to the pre-action protocol for Faris Al-Rawi, who said, I ain't got no pre-action. Go and flex your muscles and rub Rohan belly now and read this pre-action. Since then, you have publicly defended the said decision on the basis of the 2017 cabinet minute, which you claim authorized CPEP to take such a decision. Unfortunately, I add in this part, Faris, the 2017 cabinet minute does no such thing. The 2017 cabinet minute reads as follows. Let me quote verbatim. Cabinet agreed that A, all community-based environmental protection and enhancement programs, CPEP, contractors, be immediately adjusted to a maximum of 3 gangs. Back then, some contractors could have employed 6 gangs, 10 people per gang. So the PNM was cutting the workforce, firing people, cutting it by 50%. They fired 7,060 workers by this cabinet minute that they're boasting of. How come Faris and Penelope and Colm and them didn't go outside the parliament and say, oh gosh, look the workers, they fire workers. Oh no, PNM fire. Hypocrisy to the max. But it continues. 3 gangs per contractor, as deemed appropriate by the CPEP Company Limited, an interim measure pending a review by the CPEP Company Limited of its ability to continue to perform its contractual obligations in the context of Clause 16 of the CPEP contracts. B, the contracts of the non-compliant CPEP contractors be immediately suspended or terminated for cause. But they didn't know the last one that they brought the first action against the UNC for that had been struck off. They didn't know that company was non-compliant. But here it is. The PNM was striking off companies for non-compliance. C, the contracts of month-to-month CPEP contractors be suspended or terminated as deemed appropriate. And D, this is a I want Akash Samaru. Akash, when you're trying to be a big reporter and a star boy and looking for views and likes and things, you must read and research. That way, people might take you seriously. Because when Faris talk his nonsense, Faris then made a claim that Keith Eddy's lawyers and so on, the chairman of the board, wrote them a letter and they left out, they didn't quote Part D of the cabinet minute as if it was pertinent to anything. And I was saying, but Akash, you're not bright. The issue is the en masse renewal of contracts that did not expire. The lesser issue about possibly hiring new contractors, of which, based on the cabinet approval, the PNM could have increased the number of contractors from 12 because they didn't fulfill the entire complement. That was not the issue. That is not the issue. That was never the issue about CPEP's ability to go up the number of contractors up to 360 because they were at 348 or what. That's not the issue. The issue was that the PNM decided and the chairman told the board told the corporate secretary and all the board members by board note that cabinet had agreed to extend contracts to 2029. Those contracts, some of them that had not expired, that still had life on them, 18 months. That is a brand new decision. That is a brand new commitment. That is a brand new expenditure that required cabinet's approval. And if anyone lied to the board, if anyone lied to the board members, causing them to believe falsely, fraudulently, that cabinet had agreed to the increased expenditure of $1.4 billion, then police will knock on your door. So slow your roll, Faris. Pre-action reach? Police shall reach just now. Joel Edwards, you too. So this part D, that Akash put a whole CNC3 report and said, hey, look, Eddie, he left out this. Wow, Faris might be making sense. Let me read D of Cabinet Minute of 2017 for you all. D, new contractors be introduced in the context of the need to maintain the efficacy of CPEP and its primary aim of environmental protection and enhancement as deemed appropriate. Who cares? That has absolutely nothing to do with this issue. CPEP could have a higher new contractors up to a maximum of 360. The last time I saw 348 was less than 360. That's not the issue at hand. The issue under consideration for fraud, misbehavior in public office for criminal charges was the fraudulent misrepresentation by Mr. Joel Edwards, CPEP chairman, to Keith Eddy that the cabinet had agreed to extend every single contract of every single contractor for the full term of 3 years. That's the issue. That has nothing to do with whether CPEP could hire new contractors. Now it gets interesting, Faris, because Mr. Edwards said on screenshot on WhatsApp that you, the line minister, you told him, now you and Mr. Edwards could sort out that. Though I see the guy wasn't there, you understand, I was campaigning for UNC in an election, I wasn't studying CPEP renewing contract. It continued. The hypocrisy. Well, Anand Ramlogan, you know, he will ramage on Faris Al-Rawi. Because the hypocrisy is that Faris now, the $148.5 million man, including his salary, his perks, and of course, the rental of his own building without the requisite change of use and approvals for $23.5 million every 3 years for 9 years. That man who made himself $100 millionaire was the bastion of fighting like Adrian Cola Rienzi and Uriah Bus Butler for the poor man on the street, and that the UNC put people on the breadline and so on. Not that the PNM corrupt contractors were continuing to rape and pillage the treasury and wanted to do so till 2029 after being decimated at an election. The PNM still wanted to vacuum out the treasury. Not that. Faris came out to protect workers. But in 2017, when the PNM fired 7,060 poor people, poor workers, black man, black woman, Indian woman, Faris was quiet, collecting his paycheck rent and selling 3 Porsche. That is the political hypocrisy of Johnny Sukaran. Johnny Sukaran said Kamala call him a 1%. Well, you are, because you, I don't know if you fool yourself, but you is not no Muslim Syrian, you know. You is Johnny Sukaran, Franco-Met Indian from down in South. Eh? You, I don't know, but somehow you believe something about 1%. Furthermore, Faris, 1% has nothing to do with no race. You are 1% because you're a cabinet minister and you rent out your own building. You're so lucky and so privileged. You went in a wedding when COVID-19, all of we had to lock up in we house and go nowhere. You in wedding with your partners and them drinking and liming while other people getting locked up and thrown down on the ground by police. 1% is those who get specific favors, not based on merit, Faris. You became Attorney General despite being a complete imbecile and a dunce. That's 1%. Because normally to be an Attorney General, you should be an accomplished lawyer, a brilliant, intelligent human being. Your pants so tight, it cut off oxygen to your brain and make you doubly dunce, Faris. So that's how you're 1%. You should never have even become a lawyer. How you got in law school? John Jeremy, I may have to answer that one. Bless.